Thank you for joining us today as we talk about preparing for a hybrid learning future through using immersive simulations to create engaging online experiences. My name is Chris Dudley. I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship at Seneca. And with me today are Nicole and Imran, co-founders of InStage, who you'll learn about as we move through this presentation. Please, if you could, mute your microphones during this presentation so we don't get any background noises. Also, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the chat. Now, as I mentioned, I'm the Director of Entrepreneurship, and part of my responsibilities is looking after Helix, which is Seneca's on-campus entrepreneurship incubator center. And this is where community, students, staff develop venture ideas. We started in January of 2015, and to date we've engaged over 12,500 individuals in different entrepreneur and innovation events, and we've helped accelerate over 560 ventures. These are student-led ventures or community-led ventures. And part of Helix is Career Recharge. This is a funding designed to support mid-career individuals that are looking to get back into the workforce or update their skills so they can move further in their chosen career, or potentially get some new skills to come in and develop a venture. Now, I highlight that for two reasons. One, because of Career Recharge, we have engaged InStage, which is a tremendous venture that actually has been supported by Helix. And we have now started to employ them in Career Recharge, where we have run 45 workshops and engaged over 7,000 individuals. Career Recharge is a ability to bring VR training simulations into the classroom where participants can engage, practice, learn, and try again. So without any further ado, I'm going to pass it over to Imran and Nicole to walk you through what InStage is and how you can engage it in your classroom. Take it away, Imran.
All right, thank you so much, Chris. Thank you for having us here this morning. My name is Imran Mouna, everyone. Excited to tell you all a bit about InStage, as Chris mentioned, and how we're going to be using this technology to give you access to these immersive simulations you can use to create some really engaging online experiences. So I'm joined today by co-founder of InStage, Nicole McClean. And I just want to say, thank you again for having us here, Chris. It's a special opportunity for us because we truly appreciate all the engagement we've had a chance to do through Seneca College. Seneca is one of the first schools that made this technology possible to students. And so we're looking forward to telling you a bit about some of the work we've done with faculty, departments like Helix at Seneca, and how you as professors and faculty can take advantage of this technology too. And we're excited about that, of course, because Seneca is a special school to us, as I've said. So in a nutshell, what you can expect us to talk a bit about today is how you can turn Zoom meetings like this into simulations using our characters so you can give students access to a realistic learning experience for things like presentations, online interviews, business pitches, all using the InStage system so that instead of having students practice in their heads or in front of the mirror for something like a presentation or interview, and I'm sure a lot of you are struggling right now with getting students to even just turn on their cameras, as we've heard many faculty and staff talk about. We're going to share a bit about how these simulations can make it a bit more fun for them to practice doing something like that and develop the confidence they need to, turn their cameras on, ask questions, and really share some of their stories. So before I get into actually showing you a demonstration today, I want to say a big thank you to Seneca faculty Judy Hooper for being here today. And I want to turn it over to Nicole McClean to just tell you a bit about where InStage came from and why it's important to us. And then we'll roll through this agenda and get going here. So over to you, Nicole.
Great, thanks, Imran. Thank you so much for having me here this morning. So a little background story on the roots in InStage getting started is I'm terrified of public speaking. So I'm an extroverted person, but if you ask me to be a professor and stand up in front of everyone, that's not going to happen. So I spent 10 years in corporate training. I was practicing for this big presentation in front of my husband over and over and over again. And finally, it got to the point where he said, I think there's a better way to practice. And have you thought about simulation and this type of technology to practice, build your confidence so you can actually go and do that thing? So luckily, we have our lovely Imran here today, and he did fulfill his promise, and I was able to practice over and over again. And what was incredible about using, VR and simulation-based technology was we brought it out to a private high school. And we had a student that had been in Canada for about 3 months, and she was, practicing her presentation. And the teacher was jumping up and down, and we didn't know why. And essentially, it was the first time the student ever spoke English was in a simulation. And that was the moment that we knew, wow, we really have an opportunity here to create these safe environments for students. And from then on, Imran and I have been approached in Ottawa Airport and from faculty and whatnot to help their kids out with being able to present, because it's a lot of things that students struggle with. So we're really excited to show you the simulations today. And but that's essentially how it got started.
Yeah, always a story I love hearing, and thanks for the messages in the chat, everyone. Feel free to post them for everyone to see as well, but some quick sentiments here I'll just share before we get into a little bit more of this presentation is that I know some of you haven't had a chance to try simulations before, or if you have, they have been in the context of gaming. So thanks for mentioning that, Brooke. We're going to talk about today how these things can be used, again, to give students a safe place to practice something that we know they have the potential to do. So a lot of students at Seneca College have actually used InStage to practice for interviews. I'm really excited for Judy to tell a story about that. Again, Judy's joining us today from the Department of Aviation, and her students have had a chance to use this to practice for job interviews. We'll talk about some of the other use cases, but it's way beyond gaming now. So we're excited to tell you how that works. And like I mentioned, we've been working with Seneca for a number of years now. And one thing that was very special to us is the opportunity to share this with, staff and faculty to make their lives easier. So I want to share a quick video from David Agnew, who's actually had a chance to check this out now as well. And you tell us what you think here, because we're excited to hear your thoughts today, really, on how you might want to use this technology. So take a quick listen to this. You'll get a sense of where this has come from. And if you have any questions, just let us know in the chat. Seneca does that really well every time we do presentations here, is you light that chat up. So let us know if you have questions at any time.
The demonstration you're going to see today, the InStage, I mean, I'm not sure if it's been seen by the kings and queens of Europe, but I know it's been seen by the premier of the province and various ministers and other MPPs and lots of other folks. It's a terrific technology, and it's I mean, these Imran, you're so entrepreneurial. Talk about pivoting on a dime. Immediately went to an online model. This had been done, of course, previously in person. It makes great sense to do it. It's a terrific. We've had politicians subjected to it. I've never done it because I don't want to be embarrassed by the number of ums and ahs that I have. But it's a terrific training tool that our students are benefiting from. But it's also something, of course, that any workplace, any employer would be very smart to invest in.
So really cool to hear, of course, David talk a bit about how Seneca has been using this. And again, a big thank you to Chris Dudley for making that opportunity possible. What we're going to do now is give you a chance to kick back, grab your coffee, grab your bagels. We're going to show you how this works. We're actually going to get Judy Hooper into one of our simulations now so you can see how this all works. Again, a big thank you to you, Judy, for being here today to show us all what this is like. And then we're going to be talking a bit to Judy today to start the conversation about how faculty are using this. So Judy, if you're ready, you can just say a quick hi to everyone so we can make sure your mic is working.
Hi, everyone.
All right. And I'm going to save Judy's introduction for the simulation here. So what you're looking at now is, this is Ava, everyone, and she's one of my favorite InStage characters. She's responsible for a large part of the student experience here. The goal for us at InStage, again, is to create a safe environment that feels real for students to practice in. And so Ava is the cheerleader, she's the teacher, she's the guide through that simulated experience so students start to feel comfortable and learn a bit about what to expect as they go through this. Now, this simulation is designed as a self-introduction. So what Judy's going to do today is, for those of you that haven't met Judy before, you're going to have a lucky chance to hear her introduce herself today. And we're going to talk about how these simulations work. We're going to talk a bit about the data David mentioned, the ums and ahs that he's talking about. We'll show you how that report is made. And then we'll talk a bit more about how Seneca is using this. So Judy, I'm going to hand it over to Ava to explain a bit about the simulation. And then, of course, we're looking forward to hearing your introduction and talking to you a bit more about how you've been using InStage.
Okay, thank you.
Hi, I'm Ava, your InStage host. Today you're here to practice giving a self-introduction. This is an easy to learn but exceptionally valuable skill to have. The steps are straightforward and you will get to hear a few others go through these steps. First, acknowledge the group or pick up something someone else said, and then just say who you are, something about you that the group might find interesting, and what you're looking forward to. And that's it. After you try it a few times, it will become second nature. Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so I've got you into an important virtual career fair. And not only that, I've taken the liberty of lining up with a private meeting where you're going to be able to introduce yourself to one of the big companies here. And I happen to know all about this company, and they are really nice people. Except, watch out for Mark. I suppose he can be a bit snitty. Anyway, in you go. Good luck.
All right, so we'll hear the employers first.
Hi there. Thanks for coming in today. I'm David. I'm a regional manager at SAPO.
And I'm Anita. I'm a relatively new trainee here.
I'm Mark. I've been head of product here at SIPO for a few years now, and the role we have open is in my department. I'm looking forward to hearing about what you bring to the table. But please, start with just a brief introduction.
Hi, my name is Judy Hooper. First of all, I'd like to thank you for your time and for the opportunity to meet with you. My background has been in commercial aviation for 25 years. Flying, training new flight attendants and mentoring new flight attendants has always been my passion. And through this experience, it has led me to the unique opportunity and privilege of teaching here at Seneca. While teaching here, a subject that has really grabbed my attention has been the course of teaching career planning. Career planning, really what I've been really excited to do is help students prepare for their probably one of the most important business meetings that they'll ever have, and that's the job interview. Students need to build their confidence and also even ourselves, faculty, need to build confidence over the years, over your career, whether when you're trying something new or just pushing yourself outside of that comfort zone. Students really do learn from doing. So I found that simulation-based training has really benefited my students to increase their confidence that they need, all in a comfortable environment where they can make a mistake and learn from it. And they receive feedback immediately. And so I'm excited to increase my courses, develop my courses further by introducing students and immersing them into this, the new technology of virtual reality. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Judy, for jumping in here and giving us your introduction. Let me explain a bit about what's happening now while Judy did that. So as you heard Judy go through that introduction, and again, thank you, Judy, for starting to make this available to students. We're super excited about that. What you might have noticed is that Judy actually structured that introduction in the way we advise students to. She acknowledged the people in the room here. She talked a bit about who she was. She mentioned something interesting about herself, and she mentioned something she's looking forward to. Now, we're showing students that they can check these off as they go through the experience to remind them to do certain things like this in something like a self-introduction. And that changes based on what the scenario is like. Whether it's an interview or a business pitch, those suggestions are related to what they're doing. Now, you heard a bit from Ava in the beginning about here how Mark's a bit of a snitty guy, and he's on a bit of an extra difficult mode today so that you see what that means. Each of these characters has their own behavior and personality so that they really do listen to what the students are saying. Now, for someone like Mark here, you can see he's got an engagement level. And as that level goes up, he will start looking like he's paying more and more attention to what the students are saying. That happens in real time based on how the students are reacting here. So Judy did an awesome job here today. I had to force Mark to yawn just so you can see the range of emotions he has, but it was a great introduction. So no one make any mistake about Judy's introduction. What we can do here is, of course, give students a chance to feel what it's like when people, potentially do get distracted by an Amazon delivery or a dog barking, something of that nature. So we can have a lot of fun. Still gets me, actually. We can have a lot of fun giving them this range of emotion from the characters. And of course, they're all controllable that way. So they're all responding in real time to make it feel like a place that, does replicate what it's like to be in a meeting like this. And then, as Judy said, when they're done.
Okay, well, that's a good start. Great introduction.
We can show them that data report and give them some of this real-time feedback. So let me show you what that looks like now. And then, Judy, I'd love to just talk a little bit more about, how your students benefited from this, the things you liked about it most. And I'll hand some of those questions over to Nicole. I know she has a lot to ask you. And again, a big thank you for being part of the simulation again today. Here's a quick look at the data report here. Now, I'll use some sample data to give you a good idea of how this works. The first thing we're looking at is how long do students speak for? Now, this is a pretty typical value for what we see students do. They'll go in there to a self-introduction and say, "Hi, my name's Paul. I'm excited to be here today." They won't go through those steps the way Judy did and give, a well-rounded introduction. So we can start to tell them, speak a bit longer, talk about the things you've learned in class, talk about the extracurricular activities you've been part of at Seneca, things like Helix and things like, the other programs that make you a good fit for the role. Then we're telling them some more objective things about themselves, things like how fast they're speaking. And a lot of staff will ask us, where should they be? We have some target zones based on best practices. And for something like speed of speaking, your pace, we're basing that on audiobooks. How fast are podcasts and audiobooks recorded? And if students are in that range, it's easy to listen to them talk. The fan favorite is on filler words, of course. Like David said, how many times you say words like or so. Students have a lot of fun looking at that, believe it or not. They like to challenge themselves. Once they know they're saying they'll reduce that the second time they go through a simulation. And it's very cool to see them make progress this way because they start to build some confidence from seeing the data. We're looking at the volume of their microphone, something super important now, how clearly they're speaking. If there are words that they're not pronouncing clearly, we can give them a sense of what those are. And then, of course, those idea checks. How many of those key concepts are they using in something like a self-introduction or a presentation if it's something specific for your class? That's a quick snapshot of what the experience is like. But Nicole, I know you have a couple questions here for Judy now to talk a bit about what it was like using it in your class, Judy. So again, over to you now, Nicole and Judy, just to talk a bit about, how you were using it.
Thank you.
Well, first off, amazing job, Judy. That was a wonderful presentation. I always enjoy watching you on the hot seat in front of everyone. So thank you for doing that. The first question really is, when we use it with your classroom, I would love just if you could share with everyone how we used it, just to start talking about different ways we've used this at Seneca.
Yeah, it worked really well in my class. Like even my heart, it's just kind of calming down now. So it really does, even me who, you know, I'm in this quick introduction, it does get me, it really does immerse you so that you feel like you're in a real, that's what I like so much about simulation-based training, because you do feel, you get nervous, and students in an interview, it really is an important interview. Important. The airline any industry, but the airline industry is super competitive. So many applicants. So we did an interview workshop similar to the workshop that you held in Career Recharge. And I thought that would work well in my classroom. So we brought in an industry expert. She was a base manager of an airline, of Air Canada. And so she gave a little talk about the airline industry and today and the future, it's changing. And also then she provided feedback. And so then we had 3 of my students who volunteered. So they were in this picture, 1 is missing, but we had 3, and they came ready, dressed the way you would for an interview. Actually, I was really proud of how they showed up. They really took it seriously. And they were asked interview questions and had an opportunity to answer the question. And then Kristen and myself and you, Imran, and Nicole would give feedback to their answer. And then they, if time permitting, then they'd have the opportunity to answer the question again. So there was that simulation where they get nervous, then they get feedback, and then they get an opportunity to do it again. So there's a lot of learning in that. The feedback was incredible. Oh, and I'll just speak, the students that weren't on the hot seat, but that were just attending, they were also engaged because there were polls asking them questions so they could give their feedback without even showing their camera or talking. They were still engaged. And that's kind of unheard of, I think, in the online, in this virtual world now that we are in education. So so even those students that were just watching were engaged. I had great feedback from everyone. So it's something I'd like to do every semester in my career planning course.
Great, thanks so much, Judy. And we heard a good news story about one of the students getting a job. So we would love just to hear, you know, plans for the future and what happened with that student.
That was Dana, right, Judy, in the bottom left there?
Yeah. I'm pointing to her. Yes, it was. Yes, bottom left. She was. Then we had another opportunity she had. So she was on the hot seat, and then she had another opportunity with doing kind of I'm not sure if the solo practice through InStage, and so she answered interview questions, I think maybe 4 interview questions from Ava or from InStage on, and she did that solo all on her own. I just sent her the link and she went on and got the feedback and then tried again and got more feedback and the analytical feedback. And then about 2 days after that solo practice through InStage, she had an interview with an airline that is hiring. They're starting a base in Ottawa and Kitchener. And she was hired. She had to do a video introduction. Everything that she did that we did in InStage, she really answered or had to do in her interview process at Flair Airlines. So she got hired. And she got offered both whether it was both bases. She could work out of Kitchener or Ottawa. So that was a real success.
That's amazing.
That's amazing. And it's so heartwarming because that's the whole idea behind it, is to give these students, you know, a safe place to practice to be able to go and do that thing, whether it's a presentation in front of the class live or it's an interview. So it means a lot. you know, to Seneca, and especially our team, that we're seeing students get jobs just from practicing in these simulations.
Yeah, because it builds confidence. That confidence is there then. And so I would like to bring both a workshop through InStage and also that solo where I can send a link, because we have students that are on different time zones and like big changes in time zones. So it's great for them to be able to do it in their time as well. And sometimes they feel comfortable just in that, doing it on their own.
Exactly. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much, Judy. We really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you for the opportunity. It's amazing. It was amazing.
Thank you so much, Judy. And I want to talk now, just we're going to be wrapping up around 11:30 here. So let me explain a bit of the use cases as well that Judy is going over here. Now, to use InStage, what you can do is have students book a number of different scenarios. So that's a great question here in the chat that we just got about what scenarios are available. Here's a quick look at how that works. Students can pick a time to practice. And I'm actually curious how many of you would prefer students to book a time like this on a calendar, or how many of you would want to actually just do this during your class time. Let me know in the chat. Both are possible. But what they can do is this link is actually available to you. So I'm going to post this in the chat. We'd love you to try it. Just go book a time slot, pick a scenario that you think would be interesting to you, give it a try. If you want us to be part of the simulation, you can actually just put in your name, email address, and add us as a guest. We'd love to be part of it and walk you through it. You can, of course, do it on your own, as Judy mentioned, and get your own sense of it. Send us a message afterwards. But to go over some of the quick logistics here, there are a number of different scenarios available. There's the leadership interview, like Judy mentioned, which helped prepare her students for their job interview. Chris mentioned how we work with Helix. A lot of Helixers prefer to use the basic startup pitch to practice talking about a business idea and answering typical questions. We've done self-introductions with a number of Seneca students, as well as students at other schools like Fanshawe and Humber. Correct me if I'm wrong, Nick, I think we just finished about 200 students going through self-introductions at Fanshawe. 96% of those students felt like going through a simulation, as Judy mentioned, would help improve their confidence and their performance in the real world. So just very, very positive results here. We've also done this with a number of staff and students in a freestyle presentation mode. So if there's something that you're having your students prepare for in terms of presentations, have them practice in front of the characters. Take a look at that report. Get some immediate feedback. Go through it again. They can record these sessions. They can send you the results. And you can create some really interesting opportunities for them out of it here. To quickly go over what Judy mentioned in terms of the ways these are used, solo mode gives students the opportunity to practice this entirely independently. They can do this asynchronously, pick a time that works for them, go through a scenario like an interview on their own, build some skill and confidence, and then come back to you and say, this is where I'm at. At that point, you might choose to do something like a hosted mode. And in that way, you can do what I did with Judy today. You can go through and actually control the characters, make them more or less difficult, and give some real-time feedback. That's one of the best ways we've seen InStage be used, because they get the chance to practice with the characters, but then they get you there for that real-time human support, which makes a big difference. And the last mode is the group session that Judy mentioned. And that's almost like what we're doing today, where we're watching someone go through an experience like a live case study. In Judy's class, those students were watching another student go through an interview, learning some do's and don'ts, hearing some feedback in real time. That's a great way to do it as well. This is also very effective for group presentations. So if multiple people want to be part of the scenario, that's possible as well. So if you do want to brainstorm some ways you can use this in your class, as I've mentioned in the chat there, you can send me your email. We'll follow up with you and find some time to go through it together. And let me just see if there's, I'll post that link here right now. Thanks for that there, Chris. So you can check this out. Of course, we'd love you to book a session here. Take a look through it. The sessions right now are booked for 30-minute slots. That gives students the opportunity typically to go through twice. They can practice, review their data, and then do it again. All right, I'm going to bring this back around here now. Nick, is there anything else you would add to that part of the experience?
Nope, that's perfect. We'll leave our contact information as well.
Yeah, so let me just show you here. I'll put up that contact info now. So again, the format here is that they book a session or they do it in class. They join in practice and they review the data. And again, we'd love to meet and tell you a bit about how this is being used. This is a quick look at some of our story here and the things we've been a part of. It's been a wild ride making simulation technology available. In 2019, this technology actually won Amazon's Best Education and Training Simulation competition because of this ability to give students a realistic place to practice. So we'd be happy to tell you some of the stories and how it's been used in that sense. And again, reach out. Our email is here to talk more about this on a case-by-case basis. For that question that came in the chat about building something customized, for the hospitality industry, if you wanted to build something custom for your class, we can definitely talk about that as well. Great question. And we just want you to reach out to tell you more about it. All right, so I'll give you a chance to take that up here. I'm just gonna look through the chat real quick. All right. If there's any questions, I'm going to take a quick look through the chat here. Chris, I'll hand it back over to you for anything you wanted to close out with here as I take a look through the chat. Oh, sorry, Chris, we have you on mute there.
Sorry about that. So thank you, Imran. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, Judy. Just as a recap, we are currently using this technology in Helix to support our ventures developing their pitches. Career development uses it to get students ready for their interviews as they go out for their work integrated learning or for as new alumni. We bring it into career recharge so that people similar to today we bring in an expert who provides feedback as people go through it and the rest of the group watches. This is started in Seneca utilizing it, but now is at Queen's, is at Fanshawe, Humber, Durham, and a host of others, as well as in the corporate setting. You guys have really developed and not only post-secondary institutions, but also corporations are understanding the benefits of this support that people can go through to, like working out, build up their muscles around presentations so that they can be stronger. I recommend emailing out to InStage. Imran, if you could put your email in the chat so that people can reach out if they have any questions to you or Nicole around how they can better use it in their classroom, as well as how they can book a private session so that they can play around with it and see the benefits. I think you really get to understand it better when you actually do it and you start recognizing that you're doing what I did 20 ums in a period of 5 minutes. Wow, I can't believe that.
That's absolutely true.
Yeah, so it is important, and I encourage everyone to check it out, look at it, and start exploring in your own mind how you could utilize it in the classroom to better your students.
Thank you so much, Chris. I know we just have a couple minutes left here, so I'll answer a couple questions as quickly as I can. Thanks everyone for the overwhelmingly positive response here. We're super excited, of course, to share this with you. So do you have a generic simulation already, or is everything customized? There's a number of generic simulations there. So if you check out that link, you'll see some of the most popular ones, ones for basic introductions like Judy did, ones for practicing interviews, the way Seneca's career services team uses it for. Of course, there's the option to have customizations done. Seneca has done a great job of that as well by developing some custom simulations. So both available, and you can definitely get started with it. That's great to hear, Anna. okay, this is a good question here. Does this session have to be live with us, the professors on the other side, doing this manually? No, it doesn't. You definitely can be part of it live if you want to in our hosted mode, but part of what we're hearing the benefit from, as Chris mentioned here with some of the other schools like Durham and Fanshawe, is that this can be used in a solo mode. So it can reduce the workload that way. We've heard a number of teachers say that to do something like this previously, they'd have students record videos, send them in, and then have hours of videos to review. What you can do now is, of course, put them into the solo session. You don't have to be there. They can do that asynchronously, practice on their own time, and then you can have them write a reflection piece about it or have it incorporated into some of the prep for your presentations. So definitely they can do it without you, but you can be there, of course, if you'd like to. Awesome. That's great to hear, Gabriel. Looking forward to hearing about that. Pitch training is our bread and butter. So looking forward to talking more about that as well. And thank you, Chris, for mentioning some of those use cases as well. It's, of course, starting to spread now. So it's exciting to hear students able to take advantage of opportunities we know they are, prepared for. Like Judy's mentioned here, to hear a student practice and go and get the job is the dream for us. And that's, thankfully not the only time we've heard that from Seneca. It's been great to hear that from some of the other schools as well. As Chris mentioned, we've had students from Queens say this is the best experience of their undergrad. And that is in a big part thanks to the staff like you making this available to students. We will be there to support it as any way we can. And so just a big thank you for making this available, Chris, to staff here. And yeah, definitely send us the emails. I can see a bunch of messages in the chat here. Yes, great question, Carol. They can record it and send it to the prof. So you'll be able to see a copy of their data report. And if you want a video recording as well, entirely possible that they can do that and send it all to you. It's a very neat portal you can look at. You can see who's done sessions, who's submitted recordings, who has data reports. And yeah, a great question as well. Let me see if there's anything else here. Sorry, Chris, I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss any questions here. Class time, yes, that's awesome to hear. Okay, so look, it's like a lot of people would like to use this synchronously in class. Send us an email again. We'd love to talk about the scenario that would be best for you. That's great to hear. And I'll post that link again, Heather. Hopefully everyone has a chance. Book it up, book a couple. We'd love to see you in there again. If you want us to be part of it, just add us as a guest. I'd love to be there and talk you through it. Or have fun with Ava. She does a good job of hosting as well. Okay, question here from Naveed. I've not used this tool before. Is it available to all professors? Definitely, yeah, Naveed, get in touch with us. This is something we want as many professors at Seneca as possible to think about using. So yes, get in touch. We can talk about what the best use case for you might be, whether it's, one of the built-in scenarios, whether it's the different ways you've heard Judy talking about using it or Chris has talked about using it. That's awesome. Thank you, Parviz. You're welcome. And one thing I'll just mention is that you don't need to download anything special for this. It's all done through Zoom. All you need to give students is a Zoom link. So there's nothing, restrictive in that sense. It's all online. It's all remote. As long as they can join a Zoom meeting, they can be part of this and start to see, this whole new world. So if there's no other questions here, Nicole, is there anything else you would add or any questions you're seeing that I might have missed?
No, I think we got them all. I'll put my email again, and then we'll hand it over to Chris.
Sure.
Okay, awesome. I'll post that link one more time, and Chris, then I'll hand it back over to you as well.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks a lot, everyone.
So give it up for InStage in the chat. Thank you again for taking us through what InStage in this virtual reality learning can do and has done at Seneca and can do for faculty's classes.